I guess it's over to me.
Yep, I'm gonna stop sharing.
Awesome. All right. Okay, very cool. So today we're going to build a CSS framework. And I know how intimidating that sounds. So what I've done is I've put together a basic CSS framework package for everybody. So it's a starter repository for everybody. So I'll go through the challenge right now. And after that, I'll show you guys what the starter repo looks like. So here's build your own bootstrap. Here's the Kanban board. You'll see a more expanded version of it, of course. Um, you can follow us on social media over here. Links to Mintbean's Twitter and my Twitter and LinkedIn are here. You can see getting started information right on the Kanban itself. In order to open the Kanban, if you've never done this before, when you get to the meet, so you'll wanna go to see all meets and go to BYOB build your own bootstrap. And over here, you can see all of the you can see the Kanban on the left over here in Kanban, and you can see the Kanban. Well, you'll see a prettier version of it than I do over here. You might have to click unlock Kanban, and after you click that, you'll see all of these tickets over there on your end. So in order to get started, you really want to fork the starter repo. Super highly recommended unless you've done this kind of thing before, because the starter repo has a really easy way for you to get started. And the link is right here in green inside the Kanban ticket. So make sure you click on that link and it'll take you to that repo, and you can fork it by clicking on the fork button over here, and that'll give you your own copy. And if you go into settings, you'll be able to set it up. All of the instructions are inside the README. You might want to set up GitHub pages. And I'll get into all of this, but show of hands, who has never worked with a CSS framework before? I'm sure everybody has. No shame if you haven't. Anybody who's never worked with Bootstrap or a CSS framework?
Feel
I'm
free
going
to
to
use,
assume everybody has worked with CSS. Sorry, what's that, Navi?
I was just gonna say, feel free to use the raise hand emoji in reactions.
Yep, or you can drop it in the Zoom chat. That's cool too. How many of you are here for the first time? How many of you have not been to a Mintbean Learnathon before? Anybody? I see a lot of familiar faces. Daniel, welcome to the community. I hope you're on Discord, and that's where we're going to drop a lot of information, including all the info that's being dropped over here. So make sure you're on the Discord. If you're not, you can find the Discord in the footer of the website. Hi, Christopher. Welcome to the community as well. You can click the Join Now button on the bottom left of the website, and that Join Now button right there will give you access to our chat room. We have more than 2,000 developers in there. Everybody is more on the beginner level. About, I'd say 80–90% of them are more on the junior level. Hannah, welcome to the community as well. And are you guys from boot camps? Are you guys from universities? Are you self-taught? Drop some stats so I can so I know where you guys are from and what your backgrounds are. Meanwhile, I'll continue with self-taught. Well, congratulations. Self-taught is how I got into. Best way to get in, I think. But self-taught mostly, but I attended a boot camp. Every developer is self-taught at the end of the day. So awesome. So let me walk through the challenge walkthrough right now. First thing you do after you fork the repo, read the README, get it started. The next thing you'll do after that is you'll actually want to start building the homepage immediately for this project, because the homepage, I think one of you guys can probably start building the homepage. And as you're building the homepage, you'll have the opportunity to create components for your CSS framework. So that's a really smart way to do it. And that way you'll want to immediately just start building the homepage and start building little components inside your CSS framework for the homepage. And it's a really good way to bootstrap your bootstrap. I didn't mean to do that, but I guess it worked out really well. It's a good way to bootstrap your framework, which is based on Bootstrap. And you can build the above the fold, the explainer, the team section before you get around to building the example section. So um, above the fold, explainer, and team, this is what Navi was talking about earlier, is have a nice marketing page. A lot of the people over here know about this. Um, so I'm not going to go into it too much, but having a nice marketing page for your application is really crucial for getting is really crucial for getting attention from recruiters. I'm guessing because we're all trying to fork right now. You guys can't fork? Refreshing. Maybe it's a GitHub issue. I see one fork. So Scott Beckett seemed okay. Looks like Scott. Looks like you were able to fork it. So it looks like it's working. Okay, good, good. And let me get back to this. Yeah, marketing page should be should have above the fold explain your team section. For this learnathon, we need a kitchen sink because you guys are building a framework. So you want to have examples of every single component. So the kitchen sink is a list of all the components you have with example code snippets for each component. This is called the kitchen sink, extremely important for your framework to be documented so that devs can just pick it up and start using your components. Next thing you want is an example page or four. The more example pages you have, the better. And this is useful because people can copy paste components off of example pages by inspecting the source. Or if you're nice enough to give them the actual source, they can start their projects really quickly using those sources. I'm sure a lot of you have done this using Bootstrap before or other CSS frameworks. So you guys know what I'm talking about. Customization instructions are really nice to have, actually required for this, but customization instructions, the more customizable your framework is, the better. Check out variables.scss in the starter project and see if you can figure out how to allow users to override it. Mona, if you haven't used a CSS framework before, I recommend you start by researching that. If you're in a group, you can be in a group of up to 3 people. So if you're in a group, then maybe get some input from your group mates. If you're not in a group, maybe group up with somebody else and help them because somebody else will have a vision for what a CSS framework is. If you want to go solo, that's fine too. You can go solo, but you should definitely try using Bootstrap before starting the project. So you kind of get a feel for what this is all about. Maybe spend a day on it before you start working on this. And if you're looking for a team, there's a find a team channel in the Discord. If you go into Discord, there's a find a team channel, drop your name in it. And I'm sure people are gonna be okay with you joining their teams. Yeah, that's about it for the homepage. You should also decide your direction. So there are a few different philosophies when it comes to CSS frameworks. So I've listed a few of them out. Bootstrap is different from Tailwind, is different from MVP CSS, is different from Bulma, is different from Material UI, and there's a bunch more out there. And the first thing you should decide is what kind of framework do you want to build? I recommend you pick a framework that you're familiar with or something that you're really interested in and understand to a certain degree. Because picking a philosophy, picking a direction is really hard if you do it the first time, but if you copy a framework, then it becomes easier to do. So a great way to do it is pick one of these frameworks or another framework that you know, and try and emulate that framework. And that's the best way to start going. So once you decide what you want to emulate, you're just going to start developing. There are a few stretch goals over here. You can take a look at these. You don't need to do these at all in order to finish your application, but you should definitely do these after you finish your core application, because otherwise it adds risk. Don't do these first. Before I go into the starter project, don't forget to join next week's hackathons. Next week's Learnathon is desktop puzzles. We're going to be building a puzzle, and it's a puzzle game. There are all sorts of puzzle games. There are crossword puzzle games, word search puzzle games, and we're going to be building a puzzle game together in next week's hackathon. So If you have a minute, you can sign up. And this starts on Friday. Christopher, yeah, puzzle games are a great ways to, it's a great way to build up your algorithm skills, actually. Games are probably the best way to build your algorithm skills. HackerRank, LeetCode, they're good, but when you actually need to come up with an algorithm to make a puzzle game work, that really starts turning those gears in your head. All my JavaScript chops come from building games and fun stuff. Yep, I believe you, man. I learned so much in the early years by building a Tetris clone in JavaScript. Cool. So let's fall into the starter project. So I already have my copy of the starter project, of course. If I do ls, well, you guys can see ls over here. Let me zoom in. And this guy is built in Yarn workspaces. If you clone this, I highly recommend you use Yarn workspaces. If you don't have Yarn, just install Yarn. And all of the instructions you need are over here. All you have to do is do yarn install and yarn start. If you don't have yarn, get yarn, because yarn is better than npm. Here's yarn, yarnpkg.com. This is yarn. This is where you want to get it, and you can go into getting started and installation. And if you just do npm install -g yarn, that should work. That should just work. So that's how you install Yarn. And after you do that, you can just do Yarn install and Yarn start, and that'll boot everything up. If you don't use Yarn, it'll get a little confusing. You'll have to do npm link, and you'll have to do a whole song and dance. I recommend you just use Yarn. But if you want to do a song and dance, you're more than welcome to. I'm sure the code mentors might be able to help you out. And yeah, but I highly recommend Yarn. When you do Yarn start, it'll boot up, and Parcel will start serving on localhost 1234. And this little guy with this wide card here is the bare minimum starter project that you guys are provided with. And this thing has basic Sass installed. It has Sass variables set up for you, and it has a mix function here. I'll show you guys the code. Let me show you guys the structure of the application. So it's inside packages, you'll see BYOB CSS, that's the core. And then you'll see BYOB CSS example, that's the example project that you guys just saw. If I go into example, and if I go into index HTML, everything is just plain CSS, plain HTML inside the index.html. Everything is here. All right, so nothing special going on, no React, nothing is installed. If you want to add React, Parcel Bundler is really easy to add React to. So you guys can add React if you'd like. And if you guys want to see the actual source code of how this works, so how I'm importing it is I'm actually importing it by name. And this is what Yarn Workspaces gives me. I've actually installed BYOB CSS from the other folder right in here. So that's how it's kind of beaming itself into the example project. So I'm going to go into BYOB CSS. If I go into source, then the index.css is where all the magic is. And here's the very rudimentary Sass that I've set up for you guys to get started. You have baseline font size set on the HTML element. You have rem set on H1, H2, H3, etc. And then you have one example of a card component with a hover on it. You have a normalized CSS reset added, so your normalization is done for you. And you have variables in here which you can change. So if I wanted to change that ugly red blue to, let's say, black gray, and I can save that, and it'll just reset for us. And if I wanted to change that to pink, I don't know, green, then I can do that too, and it'll just change that for us. So that, of course, is being used inside the index HTML, and you can do a lot with this. You can do a lot, and the variables, you can just add variables, and you can go into index CSS, and the variables are already set up for you. So font size baseline, for example, is set right here inside variables.css, SCSS, and fonts baseline is being imported into index CSS, and the font size for the HTML element is being set using that variable. If you've never used Sass before, look up the documentation. It's super easy and very intuitive. Yeah, I mean, oh, there's also the calculated thing. So calculated is just one more layer where if you really wanted to calculate some colors and store them here and not force, like if you want to just expose variables as the control mechanism for your theme, then you can do that by any secondary calculations can go into calculated. That's the intention for calculated over here. Anywho, I mean, that's pretty easy. Oh, I should show you guys how to deploy. So let's say we have this theme and I did a git add dot. What I want to do now is I want to do a yarn build. And what yarn build does is it spins up, builds everything, dunks it into docs. And if I do ls docs, oh, right, I should probably add a quick fix over there so that it does, it destroys the docs before rebuilding them. So yarn build, arm rf./docs, and then cd packages, and it'll build. So I can do a yarn build. That's just a quick clean. Yep. And then docs will now have it'll have the build project. And my GitHub pages is set up to deploy from docs, and you should do that as well. There are instructions in the README for how to use GitHub pages and deploy. So if you go to the README MD, there's a GitHub pages deployment section. You guys can read all about it. There are helpful links to documentation for how to deploy this on GitHub pages for absolutely free. Just make sure that if you deploy it to GitHub pages, you do the yarn build and you commit it before you push. So I'm going to do git commit and add pink. And I'm going to do a push. And now I should be able to see that deployed almost instantly. Sometimes it takes a little while. Let's see. Where did it deploy? Where's the, yep, live example is over here. And at some point, it's going to turn into pink and green at some point. It takes GitHub a little while for cache to get busted, but it should show up soon after this call is over, or maybe even before that. And that's how you deploy. I'm just refreshing in hopes that it'll actually refresh for me. But clearly, caching is lengthy. We'll check back in a while. Does anybody have any questions? And you can just unmute and you can just shout them out. Questions? No questions?
I'm impressed with the starter pack that you built.
Oh, thank you. It's the starter pack. Oh, I will give you a heads up. The starter pack will not let you publish to NPM. It won't let you publish to NPM. I've left that up to you to discover. It works, but the thing is, Parcel Bundler is built in order to build for websites, not for libraries. And if you want to figure out how to build for a library, that's left as a stretch goal for you, because that's something that is actually relatively complicated, but also very much fun. And if you're up for a challenge, you should definitely go for it. Everybody in the dev collective, I think, should definitely attempt publishing this to NPM, because that's a big feather in your cap if you're able to publish a simple CSS framework to NPM after changing Parcel Bundler to Rollup. That's a massive thing that you've done. So everybody in the dev collective who's getting personal mentorship from me, you guys should absolutely start switching over to roll up as soon as you guys are done with the core. Um, and Navi, do you have any words to say about the Dev Collective?
I was going to leave that to you.
Oh no. Okay. We're starting up a mentorship program. We have started up a mentorship program where I mentor developers in small groups of up to 6 developers multiple times a week, and it is currently in alpha. If you're interested in getting into the alpha, or if you're interested in understanding how it works, then please reach out to any of the organizers on Discord. Organizers are in the teal tag. They have teal names, like bluish names. Reach out to any of them, and they'll help you out with the relevant information. The alpha is free for anybody to join, but we will be starting general entry for people who'd like to apply very soon. There is an application phase. You will be interviewed, and it will be treated as a job application because we're investing in you as a developer. And there is a fee involved. We haven't decided what the fee is yet. Everything is still pending, but we're going to be releasing version 1 of the Dev Collective in a month, I believe. So stay tuned for that. There will be announcements and you'll read all about it in the newsletter, yada, yada, yada. But it's a great way for somebody who has basic dev skills to get job ready really quick. We've had massive successes. We've had people who've entered the Dev Collective and found a job in 9 days of of starting their job application process in the Dev Collective. And we've had people who've gotten hired throughout the length of Mintbean, really informally. Like dozens of people have gotten hired thanks to the mentorship we've given them. This just formalizes it, and it lets me have FaceTime with people who are ready to get that job. Yeah, sorry, that was a really raw plug, but I thought I'd let you guys know. It would be unfair for me not to let you guys know. Plus, well, it's a plug. All right. Oh, Navi dropped an application for the Dev Collective in chat. So if anybody wants to apply for it, you guys can apply for it over there. Shout out to everybody from the Dev Collective over here. Andrew, Chris DePiero, Connie Chan. Who else is over here? Rahul Jain. Yep. So shout out to you guys. Thanks for showing up over here. I will start the technical mentorship for you guys later today. I believe it's at 4 o'clock. So we can talk about the application, and you guys can ask me questions in the Dev Collective channel at 4 o'clock. Thank you, everybody. That's all I got. And
Q&A.
Q&A. Oh, yeah, Q&A. Any questions? I didn't get any questions. Questions?
Comments?
No questions. I think everybody's pretty confident.
Either that or we've scared them.
Yeah, either that. Anybody feel uncomfortable with the challenge? Like, looks way too hard. Anybody feel uncomfortable? Because we do have mentorship, even for people who are not in the Dev Collective. We have code mentors, I believe, 4 days this week, and they will be available for limited periods of time for debugging and technical help.
There's a lot of cool code mentors. Like they're hand selected guys. Like we don't just accept anyone as a code mentor. It's something that we want to make sure that the support that's provided to the community is of quality. So there's definitely an application process. And yeah, we're happy to bring in like more code mentors and just have them throughout the week, just available. I find that one of the things that we like, especially like during Hack Week, I've noticed from the past, oh gosh, 83 hackathons. What number are we on?
82.
82, yeah. Not enough people use the Code Mentor Hour, guys. It's honestly really it's an amazing tool. If you're stuck and you need that support, like that's what they're there for. And even if you just want to show them like where you are with the project, and just like, hey, you think I'm going in the right direction? It's an awesome tool. So highly recommend that you guys use those hours.
We have a question. How do you pick a winner? Most stretch goals? Navi, you want to take that one?
No, it's not most stretch goals. We really try to take a look at quality is a pretty important part of the winner selection. It's important that you're when whatever your application promises to do, that it does that thing really well. So it's not stretch goals are not considered. Sometimes we've seen people who have attempted lots of features, but then they break. Like everything is sort of breaking, but you've attempted to do a lot. So it's actually really important that whatever that one thing is the application is supposed to do, it does that thing really well. And that you've also thought of the UX experience, right? You've really but it's the reason I say this is um it we in our winner selection, I don't think it's as important. We've definitely given um the winner spotlight to people who haven't thought about UX or UI. But I'm particularly thinking of I don't know if I want to say that person's name, but there was this project. It was a recent one. It was an amazing project. It was a web synthesizer. This person built a chat, like a chat component to this application, but didn't really think about design at all. I want you to remember, if you are in the job market, that people who are interacting with your portfolios are non-technical at the top of the funnel, and when they look, they you're not designers, but they judge you based on your design. So just, yeah, like it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Just to add on to what Navi said, we look at every single submission. Our internal devs look at every single submission, and we judge based on holistically. We judge based on UX UI, number of features, and how impressive it would look to a recruiter. That's also one of the factors that go into it. Um, this is a learnathon, so it's not supposed to be competitive. So if you're here to compete, that's great. And I highly encourage you to compete. But if you're here to learn, that's completely fine. That's the intention of the hackathon. There are criteria. We don't necessarily follow them to the T. There are no cash prizes. There are no there's no swag prizes. There are no prizes. The prize is bragging rights and an impressive little card on LinkedIn that attracts attention to the person who won. So we look for people who are job ready and whose projects look like they'd be impressive to recruiters based on our experience. So
I
it's
just
just
want to say one
in
thing.
general.
Speaking of cash prizes, our 1 year anniversary mark is coming up. The first
Ooh,
Yeah, so we're actually going to be doing a lot of fun prizes and cash prizes. There's concepts of like game consoles being thrown around. So yeah, we're going to be releasing all that information. I believe that big
very,
one.
very, very soon.
Yeah, very, very, very soon.
Can't believe it's been a year. Technically, the anniversary is in 2 days. We might not say that because we want to make this like a big deal and we need some time to prep. But yeah, it's been a year. Our first hackathon was on March the 14th. So on Sunday, it's going to be our 1 year anniversary at Mintbean. So we're super excited, and we're really this is practically our anniversary hackathon. We just haven't published that information yet. But
Yeah,
yeah, we're really really honored that you guys could join us today. Thank you guys everybody for being over here.
yeah, definitely.
Cool. Okay. Thanks, everybody. That's everything. And you guys can start hacking.
Cool. I'd also recommend everyone to spend some time in the voice channels and get to know each other.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to do that right now. So the voice channels are on. If you go to Discord, I'm going to be in the voice channels, and I'm going to be leading a quick networking round with some technical Q&A while I'm walking around. It always happens. So just come join the Discord channels. There are 3 voice channels. They're named after beans. You can't miss them: Lima, Pinto, and Garbanzo, I think. And just pick your favorite bean, hop in there, get to know your neighbors. And if you're looking for a team, it's a great place to ask for somebody to take you into their team or to find a partner. So networking round starts now. and we should really add this to the schedule. But networking round starts now.
It was in the schedule. You
Oh,
forgot.
it was in the schedule. Okay, I'm just lost. Okay,
All right, guys. See you. Bye.
great. See you guys. See you guys in the Discord.